Who says game week 1 is too early to take a punt? Not me. So let's find out who we can take a chance on in FPL. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of FPL All or Nothing, where the host decided it would be a good idea to start a FPL YouTube channel right before he left for the Olympics to go cover them and then not do anything for 3 weeks. So apologies for the lack of content here, but we are back better than ever. Olympics is behind us. It is FPL season. It is Thursday, August 15th. And for the rest of the season, this channel will have 2 videos every game week. It will have a game week preview and a game week like kind of all or nothing picks, where that's what we're going to do in today's episode, where we're going to go through each position with players at 5% or less in the team selected by percentage. And we're just going to kind of pick out a few, see who we could take a punt on. No game week 1 preview this week because there's just so much preseason content out there. I'm sure if you are watching this very, very small FPL YouTube channel, you have already watched all the big ones: Focal, Raptor, Harry, Let's Talk FPL, Above Average, Planet FPL, FPL Wired, FPL General, Football Scout, all those fun places. So this is just going to be my little kind of corner of the FPL world where I will talk about my kind of gut feelings, my punts every week, and then I'll do like a more general preview every week of the season as well. But for this week, it will be the punts, and then tomorrow I will do a final draft kind of video, 2 kind of shortish videos just to kick off the season. But yes, 2 videos every week. And yes, the content will be steady from here on out, as the Olympics was all encompassing. I'm not entirely sure what I was thinking, like, I can go to the Olympics and still do YouTube content. That will be fine. But no, that did not work out at all. But enough about that. Let's just get into some picks. So like I just explained, all of the picks in today's episode and all of these episodes going forward, this is called Game Week 1 Haul Picks. Kind of the inspiration for the show Haul or Nothing, because that's what we're chasing, right? In FPL hauls, like we'll just go for it. And so every pick on these episodes will be 5% or less, or in less than 5% of teams. I could just say it like that as well. So starting off with the goalkeepers, we got Vicario, Burton Leno, and Sells from Nottingham Forest. These are punty picks. Vicario comes in at 4.5%. He's at Leicester on Monday night. 31% chance of a clean sheet and 3.67 predicted points. If you're watching this on the YouTube side, the predicted points is from rotoballer.com, where I do a bunch of FPL writing along with Jamie, Wale, FPL Manual. You probably know him on FPL Twitter as well. And we've got betting, we've got DFS, and we've got FPL covered. So I think we've got 5 articles a week, every week for the entire season, and it's all covered. And there's Champions League content coming out of that website this year as well. So you can join that league as well. You can join my league that is going to be popping up here somewhere around here pretty quickly. But yeah, just get involved with us over there at rotoballer.com. We'll be happy to have you. But goalkeepers, Vicario, Leicester, this is going to be easily the best pick of the week. I'll do 3 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 5 attackers. I should have said that at the top. Burton Leno is 2.8% of teams. I think a lot of people are put off by the fact that he has Man United in the first game week. It's at Old Trafford. I'm sure it will be a pretty great atmosphere there. But in general, Fulham have pretty good fixtures, especially on the attacking side over the first 6 weeks. According to Fantasy Football Scout, Fulham have the best attacking fixtures out there. So a lot of people are thinking about Rodrigo Muniz, Emil Smith-Rowe, that kind of thing. Even Andreas Pereira, even though he may be on his way out. But Burton Leno deserves some love as well. Only 11% odds at a clean sheet this week and 3.19 predicted points. Could rack up some save points this week as well. Sales here for Nottingham Forest. 1% owned. We're not entirely sure who's going to be the starter for Nottingham Forest as of right now. I'm leaning towards Sales, 1% owned, versus Bournemouth, who are without Dominic Solanke. I believe their backup striker, Undal, is also injured. So they're going to be going with a makeshift attack for game week 1 as well. 24% chance at a clean sheet for the Nottingham Forest defense. And Sales is predicted to score 2.04 points. But I think for game week 1, Vicario, he is 5 million, as is Leno. I think I would roll with him at Leicester. Just Monday night, Spurs, we'll see what they're made of. Healthy with a fully fit back line again after picking up some injuries last year. So I would back Vicario out of these goalkeepers as my favorite for game week 1. Moving on to defenders here, we've got 5 defenders. Hand on heart here, I had Luke Shaw in here until last night when it turned out that he will not be healthy for the start of the season. So I was kind of thinking he was going to be a pretty sneaky pick there for game week 1 as a punt, but alas, it is not meant to be as Luke Shaw has been hampered by injuries once again. So on the list here, we've got Ian Maatsen for Aston Villa, Munoz for Crystal Palace, Lewis Hall for Newcastle, Gusto for Chelsea, and Jan-Paul van Heck for Brighton. Maatsen, new signing for Aston Villa, comes over from Chelsea technically, but played for Dortmund last year. If you played Champions League Fantasy, you know he was an absolute superstar. He has been in a lot of my drafts, which we'll go over tomorrow on Friday, but 4.3% rostered at West Ham, 18% chance of a clean sheet, but only 1.8 predicted points according to the rotoballer.com projections. I think that's more of a we don't know where his minutes are coming from kind of deal. And that is putting me off Maatsen slightly just because I'm not sure how fast he's going to crack that starting 11. I'm pretty sure he is going to crack that starting 11 eventually. Just don't know when and where it's going to happen. So Maatsen maybe is going to be falling out of my drafts over the next 24 hours just because I'm not sure of the minutes unless we get something out of Unai Emery's press conference here. He has also been replaced here by Munoz for Crystal Palace, a very trendy pick, only 4% rostered though. A lot of these will change because a lot of people just join FPL, set their auto team, and then come tomorrow, all of these kind of teams selected by percentages could be out of whack. But right now, only 4% of teams at Brentford to start the year, 21% chance of a clean sheet, 2.9 predicted points. Pretty much playing as an advanced forward at times for Crystal Palace. Now they have lost Michael Olise to Bayern Munich over the summer. That should take away some of the creativity. They may not have Jean-Philippe Mateta as he was just playing at the Olympics for France where he was in bang up form. We'll see. I'm not sure if he'll make the starting 11 because Edouard, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, has been pretty good in the preseason. And maybe they just want to give Mateta a little bit more of a rest. Maybe I can see him coming on for 25 minutes at the back end of this game if Crystal Palace needed a goal. But Munoz in the back, 5 million. He has been in every one of my drafts. I do not see him going anywhere anytime soon. So 21% of a clean sheet, 2.9%. Great punt. And honestly, great pick in game week 1 for the long term as well with Crystal Palace. Lewis Hall, I was listening to Planet FPL. They were going over their wrap up of their correspondence week where they talk to all 20 teams. They have these tuned in fans and they were talking about in their Discord and in the correspondent week. Lewis Hall is like the bee's knees, according to the Geordie fans. So 3.2% rostered versus Southampton at home, game week 1, 36% chance of a clean sheet, 2.36 predicted points. This is kind of my 4.5 million punt as well. So I've actually got 2 of these 5 guys in my game week 1 lineup for the long term. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to wildcard yet. I'm thinking like 6 seems like an adequate time, maybe 4, maybe 5. We'll see about that. Once again, I'll go over that in tomorrow's draft video. But yeah, Lewis Hall, kind of punty. Kieran Trippier still working back from his long summer with England. And then there's all these like Saudi rumors, and just in general, the vibes are a little bit off with that right back position. So I prefer Hall over Livramento, who is also in this range. But Livramento can kind of play both positions. Hall mostly been playing left back, although Dan Burn can also play left back for Newcastle. But I think Lewis Hall is going to take that job eventually. I'm just going to kind of hope that it's going to happen in game week 1. The important thing is if you do have Lewis Hall, I would make sure that you have 3 like surefire starters in the rest of your defense. So my plan right now is to have Munoz, Trent, and Paro along my back line with Lewis Hall and then Barco as my 4th and 5th defenders. So Hall, I can kind of wait and see take a punt, but I don't need him for game week 1. I'm not going to play him in game week 1, but he is a great pick if you are maybe on a bench boost that thing. You just have to be sure, get some Eddie Howe quotes from the press conference about whether or not he's going to start. Malagusto, 3.1% here versus Man City, 12% chance of a clean sheet, 2.26 predicted points. Yeah, it doesn't feel good playing Man City at home in game week 1, but also this fixture was 4-4 last year, so there will be attacking returns on the table for Gusto. I'm not sure about Cole Palmer's status. I know he played about 45 minutes in that friendly last weekend for Chelsea, his first minutes of the preseason, but they have so many guys that they have just signed that they should be able to field quite a sharp starting 11. Reece James has picked up a hamstring injury, but he was also suspended for this game anyway after picking up a red card in like the second to last or the last game of the season last year. So yeah, Gusto will have that right back slot nailed. And then Van Heck is just simply kind of a off the cuff differential, 0.3% owned at Everton, 22% chance of a clean sheet, 2.62 predicted points according to rotoballer.com. Lewis Dunk is up there. I think he's about 4.5%. And Dunk has scored more goals and I think in general has a better goal threat, but that only happens until it doesn't. And Van Heck is younger. He's coming up. I feel like he's going to be more part of Brighton's future, especially under the new manager compared to Lewis Dunk, who's kind of just like part of the old guard. So Van Heck, I'm kind of backing there to have a better season than Dunk overall for the Seagulls. But yeah, 0.3% at Everton, 22% clean sheet. Don't mind that at all, but not as exciting as like a Lewis Hall, for instance, as a punt there, because I think Newcastle could put 3-4-5 past Southampton on Saturday afternoon. Moving over to the midfielders now, I've got Leon Bailey, Bernardo Silva, Leandro Trossard, Dejan Kulusevski, and Yukabu Minta for Brighton. Here, these guys are also all under 5% owned as the game week 1 haul picks here. So Bailey 4.1% at West Ham. And then on this chart here, I've got their goal and assist percentage. So 23% chance of a goal, 26% chance of an assist, and 3.99 points. If Bailey can stay healthy, he is going to be an absolute steal in FPL this week or this season because he's 6.5 million and he will just play like up top with Ollie Watkins on the right. I believe Leon Bailey plays. So I would not be too sad about him landing in my game week 1 team as of right now either. Bernardo Silva, just a kind of cheeky punt here, 3.5% at Chelsea, 14% chance of a goal, 22% chance of an assist, 2.51 predicted points. It sounds like Phil Foden's not going to make it. Kevin De Bruyne is iffy as well. I think Silva can play on the right. He can play in the middle. I think Pep Guardiola loves him. So I think with some uneasiness in the Man City starting 11, I can see Silva getting the start. And against that Chelsea defense that has looked very leaky over the summer, including shipping 4 goals against this same Man City side in the US summer tour, I can definitely see Bernardo Silva getting off to quite a good start for Man City in yet another campaign where he did not move away over the summer. Leandro Trossard, 2.7% versus Wolves, 35% chance of a goal, 27% chance of assist, 3.54 predicted points. This would be one of the more cheeky punts in all of these picks here. Just we don't know where he's going to play. He can play up top. He can play on the left. So he's kind of battling with Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, kind of for 2 spots in that Arsenal side. He's not going to replace Odegaard or Saka for sure. So Trossard 2.7% versus Wolves. He could come on the last 20, 25 minutes and still bag a goal, but I will be watching Mikel Arteta's press conference quite closely because after the preseason friendly against Bayer Leverkusen, where Arsenal looked absolutely rampant, Arteta was praising Jesus quite a bit. He was also kind of praising like Trossard and Martinelli as well, but I remember the main quotes were coming about Gabriel Jesus, so we'll have to watch that space. Kulusevski here, 2.6% at Leicester. 18% chance of a goal, 25% chance of assist, 2.80 predicted points. The thing about Kulusevski and about most of the Spurs attackers not named Sung Hyung Min and possibly Dominic Solanke is there's not enough slots for all of these guys because you got Sung Hyung Min, you got Dominic Solanke, who they just signed, you got Kulusevski that we're talking about here, Brennan Johnson, James Madison, and Richarlison. That's about 6 guys, if I'm counting correctly, that need to fit into 4, possibly 5 spots in that Spurs attack. And there's going to be an odd man out every week, but Kulusevski has had a bang in preseason, raving about it from all the Spurs fans that I've been reading and listening to online. So definitely worth a go. The problem is that Spurs do play on Monday night, so we're not as likely to hear any concrete team news before the deadline on Friday night in FPL. But Kulusevski has had a good preseason and will probably deserve a starting spot in the starting 11. I think Solanke is going to get in. I think Sung Hyung Min's going to get in. So then it really does come down to like Madison, Johnson, Kulusevski for those like last kind of 2 spots there. And I think Brendan Johnson might be the odd man out, which is a shame because I was quite enamored with Brendan Johnson earlier in the preseason in my drafts. And then Minta is all the rage here on FPL Twitter. If you're on FPL or FPLX, 1.4% rostered. That will drastically change when people log in tonight and tomorrow to set their game week 1 lineups. At Everton, 22% chance of a goal, 17% chance of assist, 3.42 predicted points, according to rotoballer.com. 5.5 million. The news came out last night that Oscar Bob has apparently suffered a fracture in his leg and is expected to miss quite a bit of time. So Minta is only 0.5 million more than Oscar Bob. The other option is Morgan Rogers over at Aston Villa, 5.0 million, playing up top with Ollie Watkins as well, kind of second striker role. But Minta just feels like he has so much more upside. And for that 0.5 million, I would much rather get the Brighton forward in my lineup there. And he's just been pressing, scoring goals, assisting goals the entire preseason. It feels like a good punt. I know people are a little bit worried about the fixtures. I'm not as worried about Brighton's fixtures, to be honest. We'll talk about it more maybe in like the game week 2 preview when we look at the fixture ticker, since we all know who everyone is playing in game week 1. But overall, I'm not too worried about Brighton at all. I'm even like kind of on I think in my last draft, I was on a triple up of them with Barco, Yao Pedro, and Minta, which is a little absurd, but there's still 36-ish hours to go until that game week 1 deadline lock. So maybe it won't be a Seagulls triple up. I think at one point there was a draft where I had triple Fulham, triple Crystal Palace, and triple Brighton. I was like, I really don't have a lot of good players from the good teams on this roster. Forwards here: Chris Wood, Johan Wissa, Nicholas Jackson, Edward, and Danny Welbeck, wrapping up the game week 1 haul picks here. Wood is 4.8% rostered versus Bournemouth, 35% chance of a goal, 13% of a chance of an assist, 4.46 predicted points. Very popular among the community that is going with a 6 million forward slot. However, he is battling Rodrigo Muniz from Fulham for that kind of slot in the team, and Fulham have way better fixtures than Forest, although Forest do have a really good first 3 fixtures. So I think people that are on like a game week 4 wildcard that have already like predetermined their strategy can go with Chris Wood over Muniz. Wood has had a good preseason. He's been healthy, which is more than can be said for his teammate Taiwo Awoniyi. And I would expect the big man to start up front for the Trees this weekend. Johan Wissa, 2.7%. I did see a rumor last night that Wolves were in for Johan Wissa now that they've lost Pedro Neto. So we'll have to watch that space over the next 24 hours. And just if he could be on a new team, I don't think anyone's really considering him for their game week 1 long-term team. But if there's some people out there, they're kind of like trying to be world number 1 and get a good rank to start the year or whatever. Johan Wissa, 2.7% rostered versus Crystal Palace, 25% chance of a goal, 17% chance of an assist, and 3.13 predicted points. Don't mind that at all, but we'll see what the news is about Ivan Toney. And yeah, just Wissa's kind of transfer rumors as well. Nicholas Jackson, 2.3% rostered versus Man City, 26% chance of a goal, 14% chance of an assist, 2.51 predicted points. I mentioned this with Gusto. This game was 4-4 last year, so attacking returns could be on the table, especially with Pep Guardiola just saying that they're trying not to like tank their season in the early going. They don't want to kill their guys by like having half a team and stuff like that. So we'll see if Chelsea can put it together. Wouldn't be the most surprising. In my rotoball.com bold prediction for game week 1, I did say that Chelsea will nick a draw off of Man City. So we'll see if that comes true or not. But don't mind Jackson at all. He had 20 goal involvements last year in his rookie season. He's got a season at the club under his belt, which is more than can be said for a lot of his new teammates. So I don't mind him at all here. Edward, 0.8% at Brentford, 29% chance of a goal, 14% chance of an assist, 2.52 points. Like I said, with the Munoz that I was talking about earlier in defense, the Munoz. Edward has been playing quite well for Palace as Jean-Philippe Mateta has been gone for France at the Olympics. So I'm wondering if Oliver Glasner is going to give him a little bit of kind of like a thanks for all your hard work in the preseason kind of start here and give Mateta maybe like a 30-minute cameo to come off the bench, maybe grab a goal if the Eagles really need it. But Edward getting a start against Brentford may not be the worst thing in the world. It is on the road, which is not ideal, but starting up front with a team that's got Eze, Kamada, Munoz, Joachim Anderson all at the back, Tyreek Mitchell, could be a sneaky pick for game week 1. And then Danny Welbeck here. Brighton have so many options. 0.6% owned in the game at Everton, 31% chance of a goal, 14% chance of an assist as well, 3.41 predicted points for the former English kind of star forward, I guess you would say, a little bit. Maybe that's a hyperbolic statement. But yeah, with Brighton, they've got João Pedro, who can play behind, Welbeck can play up top, Matoma and Minta all over the place. So there's plenty of supply for Danny Welbeck to get on the end of. It's just about converting it. Sean Dycheball at Everton could be interesting, although Everton did play Fulham at home in game week 1 last year. I remember we were all kind of banking on Jordan Pickford getting a clean sheet, and that was wiped out as well. So Everton, I think throughout this season, they get a lot better than we kind of give them credit for. But at the beginning, we always expect them to do well, and they don't do as hot as we remember, because last season, a lot of us got rid of Jordan Pickford on like our game week 8 wild card after it just been like misery after misery every week with the Everton defense. And we just got fed up of it, booted him out. And then he went on to become the game's highest scoring goalkeeper for the season with 153 points. But that is going to do it for the game week 1 Hall's pick for FPL Hall or Nothing. Let me know in the comments below if you kind of like the format, what you would want to keep, what you want to get rid of. Very young and very small YouTube channel, so always willing to listen to and kind of work some constructive criticism into the show. Yeah, you can follow me on X at F1U and FPL. I'll be tweeting out all the rotoballer.com content. My other YouTube channel, F1 Fantasy Pole Position, is on summer break right now, but that will be back probably on Sunday or a Monday with a bunch of content coming out as we have the Dutch Grand Prix happening next weekend. So we can look out for that as well. Join the league below in the description, or join my league in the description below. Join the rotoballer.com league. And yeah, good luck with your game week 1 drafts. I will be back tomorrow morning with a draft video for like where my head is at with 12 hours to go in the FPL preseason. And yeah, we will talk about it there. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.